Merci beaucoup Séverin Alégambélé qui s'est entretenu il y a juste un instant avec Madame Jessica Mani qui est la coordonnatrice du club des entrepreneurs qui découle donc du FODIAS, le premier forum de la diaspora de 2017. Le ministère des Relations extérieures a eu l'heureuse initiative de mettre en route le projet Dias Invest 237 tel que nous en avons parlé tout à l'heure. Il était question d'amener les Camerounais de l'étranger à investir sur le territoire national. Et donc pour la conduite de ce projet financé par l'Agence française de développement, il a été mis en place le club des entrepreneurs. Donc Madame Jessica Mani était là pour expliquer le bien fondé de ce club pour les entrepreneurs de la diaspora qui veulent venir investir au Cameroun. Et toujours dans l'actualité, hier, la communauté internationale a célébré la journée mondiale de lutte contre le palu, cette pandémie qui fait 11 000 morts chaque année au Cameroun. Les chiffres qui font encore froid dans le dos. Donc il était question de renforcer la sensibilisation et surtout les mesures de prévention pour éviter la propagation de cette pandémie. Et dans le cadre des recherches, les chercheurs de nationalité anglaise ont pu mettre au point un vaccin contre le palu qui serait efficace à 77% selon certains médias étrangers, alors que la semaine de la vaccination a été lancée ici au Cameroun depuis le 24 avril 2021, une campagne qui va s'étendre jusqu'au 30 avril 2021. En tout cas, nous reviendrons sur cette actualité avant la fin de cette édition de Cameroun Daylight. Nous précisons que nous sommes sur CRTV et CRTV News sur le canal 306 et le canal 300 de CanalSat. Tout de suite, nous allons passer à l'actualité nationale traitée par la presse locale. Yves Fomusso nous a rejoint dans ce studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy.
Comment allez-vous ce matin?
Très bien, et vous?
Ça va, merci.
Okay.
Alors, on va parler de l'actualité des journaux. On va revenir sur l'actualité du Tchad. Depuis la mort du président Idriss Déby, il y a beaucoup d'événements qui se succèdent en ce qui concerne la sécurité, mais également l'économie qui serait en train de tourner au ralenti.
That's true, Cathy. The papers talk about it. They talk about the impact of the death of Idriss Déby on the economy of CEMAC countries and, of course, frontiers or security as well, especially Cameroon shares borders with Chad. The G5 Sahel countries are looking at the impact that his demise could bring to the community. Those are some of the stories we'll find in the newspapers. The papers too are talking about COVID-19 and how the population still have fears over COVID-19 vaccine. So we'll be finding those stories in the newspapers.
Évidemment, les journaux s'intéressent également ce matin à l'actualité autour du Fonds monétaire international qui émet des réserves en ce qui concerne une éventuelle dette accordée au Cameroun dans le cadre de la lutte contre le Covid-19.
And that's true, Cathy. You understand that Cameroon has, the Human Rights Watch rather, is asking the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to be keen on Cameroon. You understand that Cameroon has, there was a time Cameroon was going to have investigation into how COVID-19 funds are being managed. And the Human Rights Watch is asking the IMF to be keen on Cameroon, as Cameroon may want to have a request for more funds, especially to help manage COVID-19. The papers come on that story.
Alors, toutes ces informations sont contenues dans les journaux de ce matin. Tabloïd, c'est dans un instant.
Thanks for joining us on Tabloids on Cameroon radio, television. We'll take a look at what the papers are saying in Cameroon. Let's begin with the known national bilingual daily Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune talks about we're going to look at Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune talks about the death of Idriss Déby. Its impact on the national, hundreds of Chadians, rather, including 6 heads of state and government, diplomats, traditional rulers, and the clergy turn out at the Chadian capital, N'Djamena, for the official funeral of the late President Idriss Déby Itno. The country paid a final tribute to the statesman who was described as Pan-Africanist, who fought to death for the stability of his country and against terrorism in the Sahel region of Africa. Cameroon's minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betty Asomo, representing Paul Biya at the ceremony, placed the wreath of the presidential couple Paul and Chantal Biya by the casket. You can read details in today's edition of the Low National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Info Martin adds that France vows to protect Chad's territorial integrity. France has vowed to protect the stability and territorial integrity of Chad, and as well accompany the country in a peaceful and democratic transition following President Déby Itno's tragic departure. The commitment was taken by the French President Emmanuel Macron last Friday, April 23, during his tribute message at late Chadian President Idriss Déby Itno's official funeral ceremony in N'Djamena. France will never let anyone question nor threaten the stability and integrity of Chad either today or tomorrow, Emmanuel Macron said. You can read more in Info Matin. L'intégration will rather look at the vacuum of his death, the vacuum his death has created, especially in counter-terrorism. The death of Chad's President Idriss Déby could be a major setback for counter-terrorism efforts in Africa's restive Sahel region, according to Chadian activists, African politicians and security experts. The 68-year-old long-time leader died last Monday from injuries sustained while visiting troops fighting a Libya-based rebel group known as the Front for Change and Concord in Chad. In fact, the group had advanced the previous week from the north toward the capital N'Djamena. Déby presided over one of the largest and most well-sourced militaries in West Africa. His forces provided crucial support to international security efforts in the Lake Chad Basin and the Sahel, where Islamist militant groups have wreaked havoc in recent years. More in today's edition of Intégration newspaper. The Guardian Post will talk something else. The Guardian Post says gunmen said to be foot agents of the separatist movement in the northwest and southwest regions struck again last weekend. The committed excesses not new to what has dehumanized life in the two English-speaking regions since 2017. Amongst the bizarre included is the Sunday seizure of the corpse of a traditional ruler. The suspected Amber Boy seized the remains of Chief Moni Pinzian Nassel of Koto, that's in Barombi. Details in the Guardian Post newspaper. The Post writes that proud to a third loan, Human Rights Watch urges the International Monetary Fund to oblige Cameroon to account for COVID-19 funds. Cameroonian President Paul Biya's recent directives to improve oversight and investigate misappropriation of COVID-19 fund requires additional safeguards. Human Rights Watch said yesterday the call for greater oversight was apparently spurred by the government's ongoing negotiations for a new multi-year loan from the International Monetary Fund. Of course, Sarah Sadoun, senior business and human rights researcher at Human Rights Watch, says the sudden desire to account for COVID-19 money is a positive sign that the International Monetary Fund and Cameroonian government are paying greater attention to transparency and accountability as they negotiate a third loan since the start of the pandemic. But Le Financier d'Afrique quotes that Human Rights Watch says unless the audits and investigations are independent and credible, the IMF risk falling for check the box excesses between March 29 and April 8, 2021. The Secretary General of the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, writing on behalf of President Biya, sent a series of letters with directives related to COVID-19 funding Since the start of the pandemic, the IMF has approved 2 emergency loans to the country totaling around 208 billion CFA francs. The government promised the IMF to use the funds transparently, including by issuing semi-annual reports on COVID-19 spending, commissioning an independent audit, and publishing the names of companies awarded procurement contracts and their beneficial or real owners. However, the government has not yet published any detailed information that will enable meaningful public oversight over its spending. It's a story you want to read in Le Financier d'Afrique. World Malaria Day, Cameroon records 11,000 deaths a year, according to the newspaper La Voix du Centre. The Cameroon Ministry of Public Health reported that since March 5, when the first case of the coronavirus was reported in the Central African state, many people with suspected cases of malaria or other diseases have refused to go to hospitals. For fear that they will catch COVID-19. As of Saturday, more than 1,500 cases had been confirmed, according to the Johns Hopkins University statistics. But medical doctors say 90% of Cameroon's 25 million people are at risk of malaria, while 41% have an episode each year. The international group Severe Malaria Observatory reports that malaria causes 22% of deaths occurring in healthcare facilities in Cameroon, and that 10% of deaths in children under 5 years old are linked to malaria. Health officials in Cameroon blame the surge of malaria and COVID-19 cases on the fact that many people do not respect basic hygiene standards and don't visit health facilities when they have early signs of either disease. They also say there are too many people who refuse to use treated mosquito bed nets. It's a story you want to read more in today's edition of La Voix du Centre. That does it for what the papers and say in Cameroon. Thanks very much for watching. Get to the newsstands. Newspapers in Cameroon sell at 400 francs. Read, encourage the press. Do have a beautiful day.